Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over 5 things I've learned from the recent Arlington Major. These are ideas or concepts that, I don't know, I just hadn't really thought about much, or just meta. I also want to talk about what I think is going to happen in the upcoming patch a little bit. So just going over a couple of ideas, really just keeping you guys up to date with what's going through my mind and what's going on in Dota, and let's get into it. And now I want to tell you guys a little bit about Dota Plus from Overwolf. This is a free stats app you guys can download right now that's going to show you your stats for the last 3 months. So if you want to know your games played, your MMR, your win rate, your XPM, your GPM, all of these things you need to track to know how well you're doing and what you need to change to gain MMR, you can get for absolutely free. On top of that, the biggest reason why you need to download Dota Plus, at least for me, is the ban suggestions. Basically, it tells you what the enemy team is good at. It tells you their best heroes, what they've been winning with. You just ban it. You might be wondering why your good heroes, why your best heroes keep getting banned. It's because of Dota Plus. The enemy team is using it and banning out your best heroes. So go download Dota Plus right now, and I'll see you guys there. All right, so the first point I want to talk about is the fact that Pudge will not get nerfed and be OP next patch. So I honestly think Pudge is one of the best heroes in Dota right now and just misunderstood or misused. I really believe that. I actually believe that Pudge is actually a top meta hero. I want to say Pudge is a top 5, top 10 hero. And that might sound insane to you guys, and a lot of people are going to call me crazy and saying I'm saying that just for the sake of YouTube or whatever. But no, I actually believe that. I really do believe the hero is a good laner. I think it's a solid laner with some very favorable matchups. I actually recently beat a lone druid in lane as Pudge. So I don't necessarily think that's even a favorable matchup, but it depends on your support. The support matchups a little bit. But I think there's a lot of pairings of Pudge that are really strong. I think like Snapfire Pudge is really good. I think Marcy Pudge is very good. So I think it's very flexible with a 4. I also think you can pair it with something like Tiny, and it's completely fine, right? So even if you want like a 4 that's more of a roamer, more playing for the mid game, that's fine because you can just hook the range creep to start the wave, right? And pull aggro twice, play the lane defensively, have the Tiny drag the second wave, and then you're chilling. And so the hero is very versatile in its playstyle as well, which I think is honestly just very cool and very impressive to me. And then honestly, the Axe is just insane. HP reduction, a crazy movement speed slow, 50% with the level 10 talent. It does like 170 damage per second, and Flesh Heap is honestly insane. I was even surprised, so I was watching the Aster Team Spirit series recently, and I personally see it as a big mistake. Ori bought a Hooded Defiance. He was against mostly physical damage too, which was the weirdest part. What was so weird is he didn't buy Vanguard, but honestly I felt that if he bought a Vanguard, he might have been able to snowball some of the earlier fights and just straight up live the Terrorblade. And it might not seem significant because like, oh, Terrorblade, is a hero that hits so hard, surely Vanguard doesn't matter, but it's how Flesh Heap and Vanguard synergize together is what really makes it insane. On top of that, I even think he could have opted for more of an armor-based build. I think he could have went for even an early plate mail. It's something that my friend Potato recommends occasionally, and he's a Pudge spammer, and I actually do believe that there's a lot of merit to this. I think the fact that this hero can be built in any way as well. I think you can go Vessel. If you need a Vessel, I think you can be the Vessel buyer. I honestly think Pudge can be a Wraith Pack buyer, which I don't necessarily think is the best option. I think the hero can be a Halberd buyer. I think it could be a Blink Dagger Initiator. It can be a Flash Farmer with Phase Boots. It can just do so many different things and fill so many different roles, and especially in the pro scene, I believe that this hero can be flexed in even to the support role. I genuinely believe it's good. But either way, as time goes on, I think if the hero gets buffed next patch or even left alone and the other meta heroes get nerfed, I think Pudge is going to shoot up to the top. So start practicing it now. Get the hang of Flesh Heap because it makes you take no damage from Rot. It's really OP. Like really, really OP. And yeah, just keep this here in mind. Next up is Veil ET. This is something that has popped up at the Major, and I was like very curious about it. So I did a little bit of testing, and I'm going to show you guys something real quick. So I just want to show you a quick demonstration of why Veil ET has become the popular build on the hero. Outside of the fact that honestly it's straight up a good ET item because it works well with your Earth Splitter, it amps the damage of Echo Stomp, not really, but it's more about amping the damage of Earth Splitter, and then on top of that, just amping the damage of your teammates. Like, I saw a Beastmaster explode to a Wrath of Nature. He took like 600-700 damage. I couldn't believe it. All right, and I'm gonna use this dummy here to actually show you why this build is so insane. It's crazy. So a normal Laguna at max does 675 to a hero at 25% magic resist. Right, that's the number. Okay, now I'm gonna put a basic but very effective natural order on this guy, right? So when you put out the Spirit, it reduces the magic damage. It does, I mean, their magic resist. It doesn't reduce their armor, but it reduces the magic resist. Now the Laguna will deal 900 damage, right? Because the 25% resist has gone away. However, if you add on top a Veil to the equation here, as I'm just going to let that damage go away real quick. If you add a Veil onto the equation, all of a sudden that Laguna is doing an extra 162 damage. That's obviously extremely significant considering you're amping up every single spell. So an ability that typically would do 675 damage is doing 1062 damage. I'm not going to say double, but like 80-90% damage increase. That is something. That is something. All right, getting into the third point, sticking on the topic of meta, is Chen is just kind of broken. I think if Chen gets untouched in the upcoming patch, which honestly, I don't think is going to be the case, but is possible. Only reason why is I don't think this hero was that popular until the recent major. At least I wasn't seeing it. And now all of a sudden this hero is like the highest winner hero of the recent major. It's just winning every single game. And it largely comes down to the fact that I think creeps are pretty strong right now. So when you take them over, it's quite powerful. And Chandler's got nerfed pretty hard. So when it comes to like a unit hero, I think Chen is very good. Because all you can take is the small camp with Ench at level 1, and so can Chen. So they're on the same level when it comes to that. And then the biggest thing is really just the healing. It's just too much healing. It's too much healing. And on top of that, a lot of team comps don't want a hero in the offlane to be their tower taker. Unless they have Beastmaster or Lycan, which constantly get banned out. So even in your pubs, right? Like if you're picking Chen, it's just straight up good. It's good in lane, right? It's very versatile in lane. It can do well in the majority of matchups. If you need sustain, you can just go Headdress. If you want to get aggressive, you can take Penitence Blightstone. There's a lot of ways to play with Chen. And then from there, as I was saying, it's really about the healing. It's really about the healing. Because the thing is, and I mentioned this in a recent video, but Mech, for only 1,875 gold, you get Mech, which is 275 healing. Hand of God is a bonus 200 on top of that, with 20 HP regen for 10 seconds, which is another 200 healing. So you're healing for 675 health in the early game. That is a brutal amount of healing. And you have to keep in mind, Mech is built from Headdress. You can start the lane with Headdress. That means that when you are playing Chen, you can have a Mech at like minute 9. So when you walk up to the mid tower and go to push, if you have, let's say even at minute 10, the Tome, you're gonna have level 6 and a Mech. It is brutal to fight into Chen in the early game. Also considering he can take towers with his creeps, this hero is pretty freaking insane in the early game. It is genuinely one of the best early game heroes in Dota right now because of how good its healing actually is and how good the Headdress build-up into Mech is. Getting to our fourth point, I want to talk about kind of just like meta and how you guys might think about the meta, because a lot of the time in your pubs, you're probably thinking like, oh, I have to pick Razor and I have to pick DP, and for carry, I have to pick Void, and you know, I have to pick maybe TP now, seems to be a very popular carry. Then I have to pick all these types of heroes, right? But honestly, the reality is, guys, while all these heroes are good and following the meta is important, I honestly think even pros overfollow the meta. And some teams even just don't follow the meta much at all. And they kind of create their own meta or their own trends. For instance, like a lot of the Chinese teams have been picking Pudge, and I think this hero is insanely good. There's also a couple teams that are really prioritizing Death Prophet early into the tournament, and now that hero is like a top meta pick. And of course, once again, I think people overfocus what is quote-unquote meta. I really believe people get overhyped on what is good. Even Razor, for instance, I personally believe is an overhyped hero. I know that sounds insane, and I believe the hero is good. It's not that I don't think it's a good hero, I just think it's overhyped right now. And so when it comes to the meta, guys, try not to fall into the trap of believing that your best way to gain MMR and improve as a player is by just following trends. Because frankly, the hero is, first of all, gonna get nerfed at some point. So it's like, okay, down the line, you're not even gonna have, the hero you practice is not even gonna be good anymore. So is it good to, play the meta? Yeah, because it's gonna enable you to understand what makes a hero strong, what factors make a hero strong. So when the meta shifts, you can be the first one to pick up on it, right? To adapt. And it's also just good to know what is strong, so you see like what is just generally strong in Dota, what enables, for instance, Razor to be good, and you learn about, hero synergies such as why Clockwork is good with Razor, why Tiny's good with Razor. All these types of heroes are good with Razor. Why Razor is just straight up good in general. What makes this hero able to be an offlaner and not just a mid or a safe lane like he always has been. So while this is important, you just don't need to follow it that much. Even Team Spirit just picked frickin' Shadow Demon. Who plays Shadow Demon? They just picked it like last in their draft, right? So obviously if you believe that a hero was good, also Aster picked Darkseer recently, which did fine. It didn't win the game, unfortunately it lost, but they picked Darkseer. Just play what you want, guys. There's basically not a single unplayable hero. And if you want to know why I know that for a fact, if we look at some of the quote-unquote worst heroes in pubs, according to DotaBuff, we have number 1 Storm Spirit, who's situationally doing insanely well at the tournament. Ember, another hero that's picked in the pro scene. Batrider, another hero that is actually being relatively prioritized by certain teams in the pro scene. Prophet, a very common response pick to a lot of the meta. Monkey King, a hero that is definitely relatively popular. And then from there on out, TB, literally comically one of the most popular heroes of the tournament, at least carries of the tournament, is the lowest, arguably the lowest win rate mega carry right now. And so you don't need to focus so much on it. Play what you want, master the hero, learn the ins and outs, and you're going to gain MMR much faster that way. And finally, last but not least, Night Stalker is a good response to the Dazzle Wyvern Puck meta. This is something I did want to talk about. He also needs a lane, unfortunately, which is kind of the downside of this hero, which I'll cover. But yeah, Night Stalker is just a good response to these heroes. And we've seen it a couple times throughout the tournament, just teams picking up Night Stalker, even early on into drafts, just as a response to these squishy heroes and these save supports. So if you happen to see it in your pubs and you are an offlane, mid lane, or even safe lane player, Night Stalker is being picked up. It's literally being picked in every single role right now. Of course, it's primarily an offlaner. Let's be real. It's almost only an offlaner, but I've actually seen a game where it's played against Puck mid. I think it's good. I don't think Puck pressures it in lane. I think you can out-gank the Puck. I think you contest runes well. The 6-minute rune is very easy to contest against Puck as Night Stalker. You're very fast and you offer kill threat with a +1. Even without a +1, you actually offer some kill threat. If you go 2-1-2 in your build with your ulti at 6, you can kill Puck on the 6-minute rune alone, which is very impressive. And so this hero has some really good matchups right now. It just needs a lane. And so if you are going to pick it, I generally think that some of the better heroes with Night Stalker are Snapfire, so you have a range creep secure, and even kill threat on overextending supports. It's also just kind of a nice combo later on into the game. Night Stalker provides vision, snap ultis, and you can really take down targets very easily from a very long distance. And so yeah, basically in pubs, you want to be able to look at their supports and say, is this a good Night Stalker game? Because that's obviously what you're going to see when you're second phasing your offlaner, right? Do I see a Dazzle? Do I see a Wyvern? Now, the only downside to picking Night Stalker into Dazzle or Wyvern is both of these heroes have a lot of kill threat at level 1 and level 2. And so you have to be a little bit careful, right? You do have a lot of sustain, so as long as you do not get caught in between two heroes when you are either poison touched or wyvern queued, you'll probably end up living. You'll be in a fine spot. And you have so much base regen on Night Stalker. So as long as you buy 1 set of tangos, 2 set of tangos, and a salve, you'll sustain basically every lane, and I think the hero from there is very good in pubs. And he's a hard counter to these specific heroes. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video where I talked about 5 things I've learned from the Major. I recommend you comment down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say, things you've learned from the recent Major, or things that have surprised you about the recent Major, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.